Sanders here. Copywriting, Sales Copy, Copywriting Tips, Tricks, and Secrets by John Caples, author of How to Make Your Advertising Make Money. Now, most people, or many people into direct response marketing, direct marketing, have heard of tested advertising methods, but most people don't know about this book. So when I got started in copywriting, there are only a couple books to learn from, and the best ones were pretty much by John Caples because they had actual content in them. And so this is where a lot of your old school folks learn to write copy, right? Now, he has so many great chapters, and I love the way that John Caples broke down copy. But like he has how to write sentences that sell, sales appeals that last forever, how to write headlines that make money, how to use stories to sell your products or services, editorial style ads, 12 ways to find advertising ideas. It's really just a wealth of information. But let's just look at page 125, which is the how to write headlines that make money, right? And let's see what he's got. So here are 10 headlines he gives you that made money. Number one, how to get rid of money worries for good. So for your product or service, you can say how to get rid of X problem for good. Number two, to men who want to be independent in the next 10 years. Now, today, I think you got to say to a person who wants XYZ to be independent in the next 10 years or whatever the thing is to get X result in Y amount of time. Number three, Annie for only $1 and an illustration with pictures of a book. That's a timeless offer, the dollar bribe offer, right? How to get rid of inferiority complex, how to get rid of blank, right? These headlines are all just universal. No time for Yale, took coffee home. That's an interesting one about the Harvard Classics, and that's more like a story lead. Order Christmas gifts now, pay by January 1. Now, that's a very direct offer, right, to people that know they want your product or service. Free to high school teachers, $6 to others. I love this one. Free to whoever, X amount to others. I'm going to use that. I forgot about that headline. That's a great headline. How I improve my memory in one evening. How I improve my X in one evening. Another freaking great headline. I'm going to steal that. How $20 spent may save you $2,000. I mean, this headline was 20, 30, 40 years ago, and it's still a great headline. How X dollars spent may save you Y dollars. How a person of 40 can retire in 15 years. Again, how a person can get X result in Y amount of time. And that was number 10. So he has more winning headlines in here, and it's great. There's so many gems of wisdom in John Caples. I remember that, like, the first one I read was Tested Advertising Methods, I think. But then he had this little book called Making Ads Pay. Now, Making Ads Pay is more like a book of a lot of his stories. It has how-tos in there, but it's a lot of his stories. And I found that one to be more interesting in some ways than Tested Advertising Methods. It's pretty much all how-tos. Making Ads Pay had really interesting lessons and stories that he had learned during his career in advertising. So he has 3 books: Tested Advertising Methods, Making Ads Pay, How to Make Your Advertising Make Money. He may have another book or 2. I don't know. Those are the 3 that I read and that I know about. I remember when I first read Tested Advertising Methods, and he was really great at the headlines. But then number 2, he talked about practical things like 6 or 7 ways to write your first paragraph. And that, especially for a beginning copywriter, that's just really useful. He talks about how to make your offer seem like a bargain. Talks about how to make people act now. He talks about how do you write a story, right? So there's so many things that are very fundamental that John Caples taught. And frankly, even to this day, he still probably taught a lot of those things better than anyone else. Because what you find is those old school copywriters on the basics, that's what they excelled at. That's where they were trained at. And I don't know that people today teach those fundamentals, those basics as good as the old school copywriters, right? So if you're watching this on Pinterest or YouTube, welcome, or LinkedIn or my Facebook group or page, welcome to all of you. If you don't own a couple of the John Caples books, I recommend all three of them. They're all three really great. Now, I like the original editions and not the ones that have been edited for, new whatever. I personally like the original, very much prefer and like the original editions, even though some of the language doesn't reflect the modern mores of men, women, blah, 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 blah. All right. Let me pop over to our Facebook group, see if we got any questions on this today. How are you all? What are you working on? What's up in your world and life? Let's see what we have here today. We'll pop in here. All right. So if you're watching this live, you can type live. If you watch, let me get my chat app up here if I can. If you watch it on the replay, type replay. If you watch it to the bitter end, type bitter end and let me know. And there's my chat. I was having trouble finding the chat. There we go. Hey, Jim F., how are you? Good morning, sir. Hope you're having a good day. So the book is called How to Make Your Advertising Make Money. The author is John Caples. And he has tested advertising methods and making ads pay. Some of the things that I felt he excels at is teaching you to do headlines, teaching you to do stories, because they were really good at doing stories back then. They really told a lot of stories. They were really good at using stories and ads. I mean, John Caples is the one, you've heard the headline. They all laughed when I sat down at the piano. Then when I started to play, those kinds of headlines and story ads, he was great at. And I'll tell you an interesting story, then we'll wrap it up. So he tells this, I think, in Making Ads Pay. His first copywriting job, he was writing copy, and he would write copy for books. So he wrote this sales letter or ad for this book called How to Have a Magnetic Personality. And so he wrote the ad. And then he wanted to actually see the book. And like the manager didn't want to give him the book or show it to him, right? Anyway, he finally got a hold of the book that he wrote the copy for. And I think he left the agency not too long after that. Seems like the products he was writing copy for maybe weren't so great. So he moved on to where he could write better copy. One of the things I mentioned that I benefited from was just his insights in how to write the first paragraph of your ad, because he talks about expanding on the story, a shocking fact, having an engaging quote. And he talks about a number of different ways that you can just get into your sales. This is a problem a lot of people have, is just getting into the copy, just rolling from the headline into the copy. And I always felt he did a great job of that. He talks about the different kinds of proof that you can use. And I always like just think on how to make the price seem like a bargain. This is not a new technique. This is one that goes way, 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 way back to John Caples. Then how to get people to respond today. So you're going to get a lot of headlines out of this thing. Like there's a whole lot of headlines in here, right? And a whole lot of great sample ads and just different things in here. So you'll mark it up. You'll save some of them. You'll use some of them for subject lines, some of them for as headlines in ads. But there's a lot of gems in there for just a very, very small amount of money. If you got an insight from this today, let me know in comments. If you watch on replay, type replay. If you watch it live, type live. I want to tell you about something that if you don't have it, you're going to want to pick it up. And let me just pull it up here on the screen for you. 1 second, we'll get it up here on the screen. This is my report on seed marketing, and that's actually not the one I want to show you. A better copy over at marlonsnews.com/seed-marketing. It helps if you spell it right. And as you can see, I worked some on the copy for this, but it's the discover the 3-step seed marketing method I use every day to get opt-in season sales, and you can too. The story on this is most people struggle to get enough leads. Most people struggle to get opt-ins. And the thing that most people don't have is an overall framework. Like they get a tactic here, maybe a strategy here, but there's nothing that everything just kind of fits together into like a big picture. And so what seed marketing does is seed marketing is like a big picture idea about a very, very, very practical way that you can get leads and opt-ins. Now, this is a whole kit. And not just one report. It's a whole kit. Includes a video, includes a couple of reports and other things. And you can actually think there's a checklist in there. You can actually take this and start getting opt-ins and leads with it, like begin using the method the day you get it. So that is at marlonsnews.com/seed-marketing. If you got an idea today, let me know. If you got a headline out of the John Caples book, let me know. And you all have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye for now, everyone.